Good afternoon and welcome to GED Tech Master Wednesday in 2024, empowering adult learners in the digital in the age of the digital frontier as a course. This is going to be an exciting session. Let's get started. So before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping rules. If you have any questions, just wait. You can type them in the chat, or you can wait until our Q&A portion of the session. All attendees' microphones have been muted. You will be in a listen-only mode. Today's presentation is being recorded, and it will be archived and available on the IPDAY website within 48 hours. So I'm going to ask you to please share your name in the chat and let me know what school district you're from. And if you're in a leadership role, what does that look like as an instructor? Because we all lead as instructors, coordinators. If you're an instructional leader, a data coach, or an instructional coach, let us know who's in the room. And what do you like most about the digital age, and what kind of gives you a little bit of fear or reservation? Thank you. I'm so glad to see you. Thank you so much for the participation in the chat. So today's agenda: understanding the digital landscape of 2024, key components of our GED Tech Master course, what it looks like when we're empowering our adult learners. We'll talk a little bit about professional development, and then we'll close out with our next steps. Now let's start with understanding the digital landscape. Now, did you know the first computer that resembled the modern machines that we see today was developed in 1833 and in 1871? So we've been getting ready for this age for quite some time. He developed a device, Charles Babbage developed a device that was considered an analytical engine, and worked on it for nearly 40 years. Now, how interesting was that? Who knew that? If you knew that, let me know. Let's deal with the nuts and bolts of this, the current state of digital literacy in 2024. According to Phoenix Snap Global IT Services, the digital landscape is defined as the current state of dynamics of a collection of web-based digital technologies and their associated culture and social regulatory frameworks. So where we are right now in digital literacy is in a space. If we turn on the TV, if we conduct any research, if we're in our classrooms, we're in a space that we've never quite been in before, and everything is constantly a learning process. We got social media, you've got blogs, you've got online marketing, you've got content marketing, you've got the website, you've got the network. Everything is moving simultaneously, and you have to be able to be almost like a musician, a magician, if you will. In your classrooms, as you're learning, as the student is learning, I don't know about you, but I have observed within the role in which I fulfill that obvious, hard to discuss divide. Despite the technological advances, there's a lot of disproportionate access to resources and skills that persist, of which I know that as a state, we are constantly trying to combat and close gaps as it relates to those things, but they're still prevalent. Within that, we're always provided and or expected to provide a platform that builds more inclusive practices around that. What does that look like for you in your classrooms, in your programs, as leaders, as instructors, as instructional support contacts? How do you combat those barriers? Let's see if there's anybody in the chat talking. Oh, we've got a plethora of people in the room today. When you have those barriers, what do they look like for you? Yes, constant language barriers. Thank you so much for sharing. And because you have those barriers, just as the barrier that the educator spoke to on the last slide, you have because of that rapid technological advancement, we have to have some kind of mantra that we can embrace. And through my research, the mantra that I came up with was us like ECORE: embrace, adapt, customize, and reflect. Embrace the now, despite not having learned under that type of regimen. That's going to be something that I'd like to speak to just for a second or two as it relates to the generational pieces. If you were in a particular generation, you learned where you were actually the computer. The baby boomer was the computer. The Gen Xer was the computer. We didn't start the living computer. We didn't start to really move into that frontier of a thing until the generation of the millennial. They are the fate, they call them the selfie generation. So educating, coming from that generation, educating in this generation can find itself to be something of a challenge at times. So it's important that we adapt, be able to openly adapt and step outside of our professional reservations, which are not always easy. If you agree with me, I'd like to see that in the chat. This is a safe space. And ask the scary question. Other people are thinking the question, so just know that. The more we attend different sessions and different professional development opportunities, we find that everybody's afraid to some degree, but we have to forge forward and we have to push those things. So embracing and adapting. And then customizing the digital experience to the needs of the adult learners that are before us, without the reservations that we bring with us that sometimes present themselves subconsciously. And using those components, allowing the fear to have its proper place in space, because that almost pushes us to a place to learn as much as we can because of fear of not knowing, which could be a very good place to be in as it relates to advancement. So we embrace, we adapt from that place, then we customize through our own education of ourselves. Thus, we're able to educate the adult learner to the degree that they're able to really go out there and do great things. And then we sit back and we reflect. We have to check in with the adult learners and ourselves. How is it going? What aspects are you enjoying about the learning process? And what could be modified to maintain that growth mindset that's so critical in this particular age? If you're executing this acronym in your day-to-day, please provide a best practice in the chat. You've got a participants here who would really glean from your shared expertise. We're all here to help one another. So drop that in the chat and I'll check in a little while. The urgency of digital literacy and education. I don't know about you in your county, what you've observed, but I have seen, and I have in conversation, some people have shared that they're not actually using those digital components to the degree in which they actually could. Digital literacy is increasingly recognized as a core educational competency. So if you're not using a digital literacy component in your classroom, It's almost as if, and this is, I'm going to say this at the danger of upsetting some. It's almost as if we're not adequately preparing them to face the world after they obtain their high school diplomas through us. We have to have them ready to transfer into an IET program or into some of our fantastic CTE programs. They have to be ready, and they get that foundational level learning through a, whether it be a formal or informal course of digital literacy within our adult ed programs. If you agree, please share that in the chat. And if you have reservations about it, please share that in the chat as well. Again, this is a safe space. Thank you so much for your participation and engagement. It is greatly appreciated. The digital citizenship, beyond technical skills and digital literacy, it also encompasses competencies related to the responsible and ethical use of technology. Now, this is very important for our adult learners. Ongoing discussions about adult learners around the digital citizenship highlight the importance of critical thinking. This is why we have to have it in every classroom every single day, and it needs to be a part of a unofficial, if you all have not already mandated as such, but an unofficial approach to what needs to happen. Critical thinking, media literacy, online safety, and responsible digital behavior. We need to empower our adult learners beyond the platforms that they use, to the degree that they understand the digital landscape, they understand the responsibility behind it, and they understand that there's a digital footprint. And I don't, sometimes some of the things that may be posted on social media platforms could lend themselves to be that way because they don't understand the importance of online safety. They don't have that fluent media literacy, and they don't truly understand what responsible digital behavior looks like. And this is where us as practitioners, this is where we have our charge, and to really, really hone in on what impactful critical thinking skills look like in this particular day and age. And so we've already spoken to the importance of us embracing, adapting, customizing, and also reflecting. We've also had the opportunity to discuss what it looks like as it relates to digital citizenship and how important that is. We've discussed how far back the digital literacy age goes, all the way back to 1871. We're now going to kind of transition ourselves into workforce readiness and what that looks like in real time, because we have our IET programs. I'm sure almost every single one of you has an IET program of some sort working on your campus or throughout your program, and or a CTE program working within your program. I'm going to stop for a second and go to the chat and let me see what I have here. Oh, no problem. I'm just glad that you're here. And you're right. Yes, for sure, AI is scary. It is scary, but it could be your friend in the assisted type of way. If you feel that it's something that can take over, what you do is you go in, and this I'm going to say at the expense of some maybe being kind of flagged here, we go in and we master it. Let's treat it like how we would do a thing when we're new at something and we want to get great at it. Find out what it is and leverage it. Leverage the technology in a way that's going to empower you and just highlight you as a practitioner. Yes, and you're still fighting them to get them to leave voicemails. We're in this because you can only operate from the place from which you originally did your foundational level learning. This is why it's so important for us within ourselves as practitioners that we begin to kind of recondition ourselves as learners. So everybody's learning. Don't worry about being late. I'm just glad that you're here. Welcome. Thank you so much for the participation. We're learning. If we put ourselves back in that position of learning, we can't go wrong here. 21st century skills, we already talked a little bit about that, but that citizenship piece, growth mindset, go ahead and if you want to snip this or take a picture of this slide, keep this at the forefront of everything that you do. Collaboration, creativity, and communication. I hope everybody was able to take a picture of that slide, because that's going to be a baseline that you can operate from, with whether this be an informal course or a formal course that you all establish within your individual and respective spaces. Exploration of emerging trends. According to a recent article from LinkedIn in March of 2024, emerging technologies are transforming education experiences through individualized learning, flexibility, heightened engagement, collaborative work, and improvement in achievement. Take a picture of this slide. Because if you are a current instructional leader, or you're an instructor or a program coordinator or a lead, whatever you're doing, in whatever capacity you are charged with serving the adult learning community, this is important. We can no longer just execute, stand, and deliver instruction. We can no longer be the expert in the room 100% of the time. We have to leave room for flexibility. We have to be more animated in what we do. We have to be okay with collaborative work and allowing that to guide all of our improvements and achievement. If you agree, let me know in the chat. Now, what are the key components to a Tech Master course here? Take a picture of this slide. Introduce them to digital literacy, even if they've heard it before. Set the digital device expectations up front, clearly and with love. Execute web-based safety and skills. Reiterate that on a regular basis. Communicate through digital communications, PLCs through the Google platform. You gotta Instagram, if you gotta remind, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it's going to take, Snapchat, depending on your audience. Communicate that way. Practice makes excellence. You notice I didn't say perfect. Productivity software applications. Use the LMS systems that we see advertised at every conference that we attend throughout the state of Florida and beyond when we attend the national conferences. The digital literacy and ethics, make sure that you're having that conversation. And if you're not clear about it, get yourself clear enough that you can communicate from this position in which you're sitting in that moment. Digital literacy and effect research skills. Do the research. Adaptation to emerging technologies. If you're afraid, you gotta go scared. And that's okay. That's all courage is. Courage is going scared. And then do a culminating project so that you can test knowledge. Paper, pencil, questions, multiple choice questions, they don't lend themselves a lot of the times in this particular day and age beyond the baseline assessments and progress monitoring assessments and the credentialing assessments to what we really know that students have a true grasp on skill. Empower the adult learner. I have a quote here, and you can review that in the recorded session when it's uploaded within 48 hours. I won't take too much time there. But empowering the adult learner is also empowering yourself, because you too, as the practitioner in the digital age, are also a learner. So fostering the digital confidence, set SMART goals, cultivate a growth mindset, really find a way to master the technology piece. Provide mentorship. And if you are the mentee, there's no shame or blame in that. Just go find someone that can do what you're learning to do. And then let them know you need their help. That's what the growth mindset is all about. And then be okay with reflecting on it. If it went well, say it did. If it didn't, say it didn't. It's okay. Because we too are the adult learners in this season. We're learning a whole new way to do education. And that's okay as practitioners. Discussion on overcoming barriers to digital literacy. I shared here a KWL online template that once it's uploaded, you can always just go in and look at it and or copy and paste it and drop it in one of the tabs and have it and open it up to your students. Talk about access to technology. Find out where your students are. You're going to be so surprised sometimes at what they know and what they don't know. The literacy curriculum. Make sure that whatever you're doing, no matter that literacy, you attach some digital components there. And even as you all were really being honest today with me about your own particular angst, know that your students have that. And that's some commonality that can be used as the practitioner and the adult learner sitting in the seat and or, whether it be virtually or face to face. Let people know that you're learning too, but you know enough to share with them what you have and that you're able to move them forward and embrace the knowledge that they respectfully bring to the classroom where you are leading that room in that particular time in a specific moment. And always investigate more support services and resources. Professional development opportunities. Sign up for every single one. If there's an if day, and we're on if day, if there's an if day session, sign up for every Tech Tuesday, every webinar Wednesday, every lesson that's being shared on if day. Please make sure that you're participating. If there are other platforms that are having, which there are a plethora of them, make sure that you're getting out there, getting the information. And if you're hosting a PD, identify and focus on the content. Make sure that the learning is active. Get people up and moving. Have that collaborative play going. Model the best practices. Employ and empower the support and the coaching component. If someone is in the room and they have more knowledge, let that person be a peer teacher for that particular group. You don't always, as the facilitator, have to lead the entire session. Reflect and provide feedback, on time, practical, real feedback. If you can relate to this, let me know in the chat. If you have questions about it, let me know in the chat. Scaffold the professional development. Everything doesn't have to be done in one day. Sometimes it works to have a series. It gives people opportunities to implement what you taught in one session, gather more questions, and then come back for a second level or third part of a series. So what are your next steps? I'm going to the chat because I want to see what next steps you have, what questions you have, what next steps you have. I'm here in the chat and I'm waiting. Thank you so much. You agree. I appreciate that. Who has something? I'm right here. Tech Master, you're on your way. That's okay if you're shy or if you're typing. I'll come back. Let's talk about additional Tech Master resources. Take a picture of this. You're gonna want to have this. You're preparing students, most of you, for either ESOL measurable growth or ABEGD measurable growth. In doing so, you're gonna want to prepare them for online post-secondary opportunities. If they come to you and say that they're interested, and this is where that interest piece is so important, if they're interested in coding and technical skills, here's a resource for you. If they're interested in specialized skill development beyond the platforms that you've already purchased for your program, here's another opportunity for them to access that. Language learning skills also. If you use any of these, fantastic. If you don't, make sure you took a picture with your cell phone and begin to practice from this space. Here's another one. Most of us use Khan Academy. Great Tech Master resource. Then creative artistic exploration. We have a lot of very creative adult learners. Please share these resources with them. Take a picture. LinkedIn Learning has some of the best research practitioners that you could find right now, and it's real-time research. So exercise your LinkedIn Learning for not just social pieces, but also professional development and research mastery to stay at the forefront of whatever's happening. And then you have the masterclass website. Make sure that you share that with learners, because a lot of the times our adult learners also want to learn outside of the realm for which we expose them to during the amount of time that they are with us. For everything that was covered today, there's a works cited page to support it. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be and spend time with me today. Your feedback is important. I want to talk about just revisiting some of the pieces that we discussed. We discussed the 21st century learning skills. We discussed digital literacy in 2024. We discussed the courage that's required and the courage that you all are already employing each and every day as practitioners to take on this digital plat and getting it down and doing everything that you can while you're completing the survey we're reviewing. Your feedback is so important. If they cannot continue to provide the best that they do without your say. If they is by educators, for educators. I want to remind you that there is Webinar Wednesday tomorrow. You're not going to want to miss that. May the 22nd, starting promptly at 3 o'clock, and that session title is Writing is Fundamental. If you thought that this session helped you today, let me know. Let the survey know. And if you see me out somewhere, I'm Nicole Howard Rice. I'm here to answer any questions that you need. Together we get there, and each and every one of you makes a profound difference in what you do. Thank you so much for being here. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Thank you. I'm so glad that you enjoyed the presentation. Thank you so much. See you tomorrow at Webinar Wednesday. That presenter is gonna wow you as well. Come ready and with your pen and pad. You're very welcome. Have a fantastic rest of your day.